Hey everyone, welcome back to ACT Prep. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the reading portion of the ACT exam. So let's get right into it. Okay, so to begin our lesson, I did just want to start off with a reminder that you all can and should be registering to take the ACT exam. If you remember a few lessons back, I did tell you that the MMSD district-wide ACT testing day for all juniors will be on March 8th, 2022. So that will be your first free exam that's covered by the school. But if you wish to take the ACT again, which I would encourage you to do, especially because ITA will cover the cost of one additional exam for you all, you can certainly go to the ACT site, which is act.org, and you can look at different testing dates and see when your schedule allows for you to be able to take one, and then you can go ahead and register for it. This will give you a date that's pretty far in advance, but it will be good because then you'll have something to look forward to and to plan towards as you're studying to take the ACT exam. This is good too because if you don't get the score that you want your first try, you can take it again and you can get a new shot at getting a better score as well. And it's important to note too, like I mentioned, ITA will reimburse you for the cost of one exam. So all you have to do is go register for the exam on the ACT website. Then you will get a confirmation email that's basically has like a payment receipt in your email. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to forward that to me. And my email is liliana.teniente@wisc.edu. And you can send that to me and then we will go ahead and get the reimbursement process started. So the money that you paid for your exam will come back to you and you won't have to worry about that cost. Okay, so I also did want to put this chart up here because, oops, and I think my head is covering part of it. This shows you when the next ACT exam dates are, and these are national testing dates, so these are guaranteed to be available dates for you to take the exam. And I just put a red box so that you can see the dates that occur after your district-wide testing on March 8th. So any of these testing dates from April, June, and July would be good ones to sign up for because they'll be after the first time you take the exam. And notice too that there's a registration deadline, and if you try to register for that exam after that regular deadline, there will be an additional fee that you'll have to pay, and we want to avoid additional fees, so definitely, register early. Okay, so now diving into a little bit of the actual section of the ACT exam that we're focusing on today, the reading portion of the exam, you will get 35 minutes to answer 40 questions in the reading exam. And the way that it's broken down is it's broken down into 4 sections that are about 800 words each that you'll have to read. And each of the passages are broken down into the topics of fiction, social science, humanities, and natural science. And one thing that I like to tell students is that this is a really good time to practice your now, later, and never questions because, this is a timed exam. You're going to be responsible for reading a pretty significantly length passage, and then you have to answer questions about it. So you kind of have to move fast and know whether or not the questions that you're faced with are ones that you can answer now, or ones that you can skip ahead and go back to them, or ones that you just skip completely until the last few minutes of your exam and you circle in those answers and hope you get them right. Okay, and now for a little bit of overview and some tips. So for the fiction and for the literary narrative passages of the exam, please remember that context is more important than the facts. So what this means is don't let your inferences or outside knowledge of a certain topic influence your answers to questions on the exam. So what I mean by this is that a lot of students kind of go in with their own knowledge about a topic that they're reading about, and they think that, because they have a certain knowledge or a certain level of expertise in an area that they can use their outside knowledge to answer the questions in the exam. But really, the ACT exam is really going to test you on the content that's already in the exam and the passage itself. It's not going to require any additional knowledge. So you really want to use what you have in front of you to answer the question rather than any insight or knowledge that you have about a particular topic before you took the exam. And then another good tip is to always try to consider what the narrator is thinking. A lot of the questions on the ACT exam will ask you about what the narrator's perspective might be on certain topics or issues. And it will require you to think about, what is their state of mind? What kind of mood were they in when they wrote the passage? How are they feeling? What was going on in that passage? And so these are the kind of things you'll want to keep in mind as you're reading the passages. All right, and then for nonfiction passages, these tend to have a lot of deep vocabulary words, and they might seem to be a little bit more complex in nature because, again, it's nonfiction. So my biggest tips for you all are don't be thrown off by unfamiliar words or really big words that you've never seen before. And the reason I say this is, again, because all the context and clues that you'll need are in the passage itself. So there will always be supporting words or evidence and other areas in the passage that you can look to that will give you insight about what certain words mean. And those will kind of help you answer the questions that are on the exam too. Going back to the issue of time, remember you have 35 minutes for 40 questions, so that's about 30 seconds per question, which means you have to move pretty fast. And, there are some people, myself included, who consider themselves to be slow readers. So if you're running out of time, the most important thing to remember is to not panic. Even if you can't finish all 4 passages, it's better to focus on 3 of them and do those relatively well and to your best, rather than scribble in random answers for the whole 4 passages of the exam. And then again, like I've been saying for the rest of the sections of the ACT exam, is that you never, absolutely never want to leave a question blank. Because even if you fill something in and you're not even remotely sure if it's the right answer, at least you fill it in and you've got a chance at it being right. But if you leave it empty, you have 0 chances at getting it right. So never leave a question blank, ever, on any exam. All right, that was kind of a quick lesson, but there will be more tips and more insight that you can get on how to crack the English portion or the reading portion of the exam in your ACT prep books, and that will actually be in your homework. You're not expected to do a deep reading of all of it, but you should definitely review it. Give all the pages a skim because there will be some valuable knowledge in there that you'll want to be able to pick out. And then once you're done skimming that section, you can go ahead to work on the problem sets. And there will be 3 problem sets in your homework. They're all posted on Canvas, as well as the page numbers and the answer keys. And the one thing that I want to encourage you all to do is when you're going through the practice exams, you want to make sure that you're timing yourself, because as we just learned about, timing is a really big component of the structure of the ACT. You're going to want to be able to pace yourself, and these practice exams, give you great practice for just that. And then too, when you're going back and you're marking the answers that you got wrong and you're grading yourself, please go back to the answer key section of the book that will tell you how to get the right answer. Because, all of these questions that are in the practice exams are going to be very, very similarly structured to the ones that are on the real one. And they're all kind of, asking you to go a particular way about solving these problems. And so once you go back to the answer key, you kind of get a sense of what the exam is asking you to do. So that way you have more experience and hopefully better insight on how to get the right answer next time. So always go back to the answer key. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you. Please do your homework and get that in as soon as possible. And let me know if you have any questions about ACT prep or signing up for the ACT exam. Bye, y'all.